far, yeah, I'm going far. I'm climbing, never gonna fall. She calling my phone, so leave me alone. I pick only for the dawn.
Welcome back to the Reach Podcast. This is episode 2. I'm really excited to have Rey Chavo on the episode. This is a pretty funny episode because we filmed this like in the summer.
Yes.
And then I doing the shit I usually do, fucked up, lost pieces of it, and just kind of decided I should just redo this. So here we are, episode 2. This is, it's funny because this is kind of, there's a weird story with how this podcast has started. There's 3 versions of what episode 1 was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. The first one was, I was supposed to shoot episode 1 with Jacob Bell.
Yes.
Because I sat down with him and I just came up with the idea because we were just sitting down and just talking about video ideas and stuff, and I found the conversation was sort of compelling enough to be able to do this. So I was like, yeah, you'll be my first guest. And then we shot a music video the next week, and I was like, well, let me try this out. And then I had you I had you do the interview, but it didn't end up going through. And then Jacob was supposed to come up for the first episode, the one, our new set and everything, but he just wasn't quite able to make it in time because I had to submit it for an assignment.
Yeah.
So I ended up having Noah come out. So I mean, this show's gone through a bit of TLC, but I'm glad you're finally able to make it.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be here too. It's funny because I was thinking the same thing when I saw you release the first episode with Noah, and then we talked about doing this one. I was like, we already did this, but I'm happy we're redoing it because even if you hadn't lost the footage, the spot, my house is just the way it was set up and the lighting and the sound. I was like, it's not gonna be.
Yeah, I'm really glad that now it has sort of a headquarters sort of thing, and if you watch the first episode, you'll remember we shot this on green screen. If you could tell, but now we're shooting on a white wall because I ended up just putting in a white wall with our logo on it last time. And I don't know, we're just gonna try out a bunch of formats with the show. If there's any things that people like or don't like, I'm
Comment.
always open. Yeah, sure. Comment, because I have a huge following.
Hey, man, that's how you build it. Also, any brands that want to advertise, we will advertise for you.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely willing to do
I'm not even involved in this show, but I swear to God, this kid will put on an Under Armour t-shirt for no reason. It's not even about athletics.
I don't even, yeah. No, that's true. That's true. No, I just I like money. But this isn't about money. This is about, I made this podcast because I'm sure if you've watched the last episode, I explained that I want to put a spotlight on artists in Niagara Falls and Toronto, bring them together and have the conversation start. And I just want to kind of build a bigger scene here, partly in the hip-hop community because it's where, I like to actively work in.
Yeah.
But, anybody else, whatever it may be, if you're a painter, if you're if you're a producer, I have a producer coming on the show.
That's
sometime.
dope.
I have a rapper, or another rapper. I have a real rapper coming on the show.
Someone who's got some clout.
Yeah. No. But I've got rappers, filmmakers, producers. I want to get artists on here. Really, anybody who's who's working in this area and wants to talk. Right?
Yeah.
So,
well,
and you said you're relocating to this
yeah,
area
I'm
soon,
moving up to Toronto, so the 6 must embrace me the same way it has embraced people like Drake. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm moving up here, and even when I saw the first episode and talking to you before, and your approach to doing art and how you talk to people, that community aspect is so important, and I talk about it a lot because I'm obsessed with hip hop with my brother and anybody who will give me their ear. If you look at the regions in hip-hop that have developed and grown the most, it's because they have a community where they share well with each other and they support each other.
Yeah.
It's a meme at this point, but I don't agree that nobody ever wins when the family feuds, but I think that if you start with the concept of there being a family and a family tree that can develop of artists, that raises up the whole thing because you get to sprinkle in different sounds.
Good example of that too. Obviously, people will talk about New York hip hop and West Coast LA hip hop and shit like that. But a big modern example, for any of you young kids out there who aren't into old head music and stuff, but Florida. Florida started out. You have the Denzel Currys, XXX, Slump God, Lil Pump, Smoke Perp. They have a lot of artists right now, and it's in my opinion, I'd say they're definitely killing killing hip hop, like at least in the last 2 years. But you know, if you look at it, you had a bunch of those guys who you have the Very Rare, X's group, and then you have ULT Raider clans, like you got Denzel Curry and Space Ghost, and like, but then I find the similarity with all those guys is like eventually the family feuded. Like they all started off as like, oh, we're groups, but you know, you have like, you know, Space Ghost and Denzel had problems, and now you have X having problems with everybody. Nobody in the Very Rare, crew is like really, you know, they're not really fucking with each other like they used to, and that's not a problem. But I'm saying, like, if you look at that now, like, where's Florida hip hop? And like, it's at the top of our radars right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of my point, right? Like, all those kids had to get together and make this music, and like, as much as an artist, you want to have a vision and your individual thing that you're putting out there. One thing that I've always employed and I will always employ is like outside perspectives, because like when you're too close to something, you're too precious with it almost, you know. Sometimes you'll criticize it in a wrong way, and sometimes you'll think that the good things about it are good when they're not. So having somebody even just like in the studio with you, or you spit a verse to and they're like, oh, like I like this, I don't get this, or whatever, like doesn't mean you have to change it, but like getting that input and like new sounds, man. Like I'm an old head, I guess, in a young kid's body, and I love all that old stuff, but like it doesn't mean I don't want to make trap music. It doesn't mean I don't want to like do like the like sounds that aren't sounds that I traditionally grew up listening to. It's like, but it helps when you work with artists that are more comfortable in that sound, bring that out of you, right? So, and Florida is being put on the map because of that community.
Because I think it's because of like the whole group aspect of like all these guys that are like coming together and like showing each other their music. It's basically it's showing each other their music and being like, yo, if you do this or that, like,
it's like what happened in Atlanta. Like again,
exactly, yeah, same sort of shit there too. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's kind of give you a bit of an introduction for those of you who don't know you. You're a rapper from St. Catharines,
I'm a
right?
rapper from St. Catharines, yes. That's pretty much all I am.
No, that's it.
Like, it's funny because, like, I feel like now, if you're a hip-hop artist, you naturally have other things you want to do. I'm not saying I don't have other things I want to do, but that's primarily what I am. And I care a lot about hip hop, so I take it seriously. So that's why I decided to be a rapper. I don't know. I am a rapper who sometimes comes up with video ideas. I'm trying to get the best director that I know on a video that we will eventually set up, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a rapper from St. Catharines, trying to make it in Toronto, I guess now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good move. I feel like a lot of people, we all kind of like. I think the creatives in St. Catharines. Generally, we all kind of feel a little boxed in by just, and it's nothing wrong with like the town, or the region, I guess, of Niagara, because we're talking about like Thorold or St. Catharines or someone like Bush the Arena who's from Hamilton and stuff like that. Like, I think that it's a smart move to come to Toronto, and not just because it's like the whole, if you go to Toronto you'll make it, like if you go to LA you'll make it. It's just that like. It's joining a bigger community and just like starting to like actually make your voice heard, rather than because it's good to start off in your hometown and stuff like that, because like you're developing who you are and your sound.
And no matter what, like as far as you can get from where your hometown is, people will always gravitate towards their hometown, and that's like they have a connection to there. But yeah, I agree. Like Toronto is a unique place because like. It's a clashing of cultures. Like you even drive through Toronto, you have like Chinatown, you'll see like Jamaican restaurants and districts. You'll see like all this culture that's clashing, and it's good. And that's what makes Toronto unique. That we have like a bunch of different influences that are in the city, and like even the ability to have places to promote your art. Like there's not a lot of open mic nights in St. Catharines.
Yeah, you Toronto. Can go to Mate Cafe and you can rap for all the hipsters in St. Paul
How many
Street.
people go to Mate and like, oh, I'm here for a hip-hop show.
I saw a rapper. I'm not even joking. I saw a rapper at Mate once. I hope Spencer Turcotte's watching this, because we went together and he was there with me. And there was like this, for the life of me cannot fucking remember his name, but he had a really cool name. It was like a really cool rap name. It's just like white dude, and I think he had like braids or dreads or something. And
was his name Jack Shit?
No. It was something like Excelsior, like dude,
Oh.
this dude was like a robot, man.
Oh, okay.
And he was like doing, I don't know, man. It was pretty crazy, but like Mate is like a hipster
Yeah, for
cafe
people who are not in the Niagara region or have ever been to St. Catharines, it's like a very small cafe. It's not like a chain, and it's like it's for hipsters.
Yeah, it's just like a hipster coffee shop. Nothing wrong. Like, I mean, like,
Oh.
again, I have gone
They
there.
make
I used
great
to go
coffee.
there, so yeah, it's awesome. But no, but that's basically all you really left with. At least all I really knew of in St. Catharines or Thorold. Growing up, the scope of what I could do was pretty limited. I would say. I mean, until I got the internet, you know, no, I was pretty much like born on the internet, but I mean, until like 07, like YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Until we started seeing it on like an international scale where like, I mean, sure, you can always use Justin Bieber as an example of someone who came up off of YouTube, kind of. But I mean, as soon as we started seeing like people like majorly like making it off of international platforms and from like small towns.
Well, yeah, that's the internet opened up the barrier, right? And so like it's funny because I was having a conversation with my brother and I said something to the effect of like, it's never been easier to put your art out simultaneously because it's so easy. There's more out there, so it's hard to break through. At times.
Yeah.
But when you break through, you break through. Like there's no. I feel like in the music industry or in any industry, there used to be like, well, like you would like get your movie made or whatever, and you would have like a buzz. But then like it's not like you go from there to instant overnight like success. Like you had to do a couple movies and build up a following. Even Kevin Smith, like the idea of making a cult film for the money that he did in Clerks, he still had to follow it up with a lot of other, like his early run was really strong, and it's not like he ever got blockbuster success. But I think if somebody had done something like Clerks now, maybe it skyrockets him to get like a bigger directing job. Like you see people like the guy who made that superhero movie that wasn't about superheroes that I forget. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, and I don't know how to describe it. But Michael B. Jordan was in it, and like it was a good movie, but it was not a traditional superhero movie.
Oh shit! The Chronicle.
Chronicle.
Yeah, Chronicle.
Super good movie, and that guy ended up getting tapped to do like Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Off of that movie, pretty much.
Yeah.
And like,
are you talking about Michael B. Jordan or the?
No. The director.
The director. Okay, cool.
Like, or maybe not.
And you know, it's even...
but a movie of a grander scale where they're like, you took this idea and we're gonna give you like a bigger idea, and more money. So it's like it's interesting that how much the internet has just like broken down the barriers. Like if you're a creative kid, you can do whatever. And
and a really, really good example of that, if you're like, and you're talking about film too. This director here, friend of mine, Thomas Allen, he showed me this short film, directed by David Sandberg, and it's called Lights Out. And you may have seen it, but it's like this, like I think 2.5 minute short film, and it's all right. It looks pretty good, but because of this short film, I think he won some festivals, and he got tapped to do that new movie. I think Lights Out, like the one, the Lights Out movie, which is like the one where it's about I think the kids breaking into the blind
they break
guy's
into the
house.
blind guy's house. Yeah.
But I mean, he got tapped to do a blockbuster movie, and then now he's doing the Annabelle movie, and this is all from a short film he posted on the internet, on Vimeo or something like that.
2.5 minute short film, right?
Now, the internet, it's offering a lot of space for exposure, and what you're right, when you catch it, you can really ride that out.
Again, I didn't know X until the beef with Drake. And then look at me now, like got a big push because of that beef with Drake, because everyone's like, oh, you bit the flow. So you obviously have to listen to the song. Even if you don't care that much, like if you're even a little into hip-hop, you're like, I wonder. They're saying he stole the flow.
Did that, I mean, opinions aside on X particularly, because that's like, that's a whole other discussion. But like, does that kind of muddy the waters for you? Do you feel like there's so many SoundCloud rappers and so many like people that are getting so much clout off of, you know, publicity stunts or whatever, stuff that's not necessarily the music?
The music, yeah.
Does that, do you think, muddy the waters, or like?
I think it does, because like we live, and again, like you remember a time before the internet. I remember a time before the internet. But even still, I was born in '93. Like the internet became big when I was in high school. Like I remember that's when I got my first smartphone. That's when like I started to like whatever. So our attention spans have grown a lot shorter. Like just naturally in terms of how we consume news, because we're getting so much of it, man. I remember being a kid and you would have to like really try to like, if you were a fan of a team that wasn't in Toronto or you were a fan of a team that wasn't in your general area, you had to find their game, you had to find the news.
Yeah.
About like
Up until recently, like I'm a Washington Capitals fan. Up until recently, like I think the last like 3 years, I've stopped watching hockey like all that much recently, but I mean like up until the last like 3 years, I couldn't catch a Capitals game anywhere.
Unless like you're paying for the whatever. And that's what I mean. Like the internet let people connect from all over the world, which is great. So I think like because people's attention spans are shorter, that stuff is easy to like get pushed, right? Like I know a lot of people get mad at hip hop personalities who like showcase these like antics, and they're like, well, you should be protecting the culture. And I'm like, well, this is the culture now because kids are watching it and kids are looking at it and they want to see it. Do I agree with it 100% of the time? No. Like I think even take like Kodak Black is in jail for violating probation because he was on IG doing dumb stuff.
Yeah, no, that's
I don't think that like even in his mind, even if he thought like my flexing on Instagram will get me this much more attention, it's a lose-lose proposition he's in right now. He got put back in jail for doing something that was easily avoidable.
Yeah.
Like free Kodak, I think that's like.
On yourself.
But you snitched on yourself. So like, who are we really blaming? So it does muddy the waters in the sense of like, if you're an artist and you aren't like that, as I think a lot of that is genuine. These people are just people who saw internet culture and they're like going off of it. You know, like.
So like what do you think of people like Boonkin?
I think it's really dumb. Like and that's not hating on it. Like it's hard to give an opinion and not seem like a hater. Like I think it's dumb. I don't get it. I don't think it's even funny. I think some of the videos are messed up. I saw one where he like stole a dog, and I don't even know if he actually stole the dog or if it was like. But no matter what, that's an animal that you're just like taking out of.
And I was saying to you like right before this too about how like. I categorize a lot of rappers in two different lanes of like if they're in the business to make money, if they're in the business to make music. And like I think I have zero problems with either side of that debate. It's just, you know, that's probably how I filter who I'm going to listen to music, because I'm not going to say I don't listen to like a bunch of dudes who are literally just in it for like the hustle. And again, I respect that because like I know a lot of dudes came up from nothing and they're finding ways to make millions making songs. Fuck yeah, do it.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I've been categorizing rappers that way, and I'm not gonna like say like
the show's just starting. We don't want to get enemies.
But like, no, yeah, I find that too many people are in it right now just because they see the bag and they're like,
yeah, and that's sad. And I think that we can. But again, I think hindsight is 20/20, and we always tend to push the positive sides of eras that have passed. I'm an old head. I love the 90s rap, man. I love Tupac, NWA, Biggie, Nas. Like, Illmatic is still what I think is the best rap album. And I know there have been other great rap albums, but, like, you listen to Illmatic the whole way through, you're like, this is a perfect album from a kid who was, like, a teenager. So, but during that time, there was still, like, man, there was, like, Vanilla Ice. There was, like, a lot of other rappers trying to, like, because it was, like, the new extreme thing. And, like, you see that now. Do I think in 20 years from now we're going to be talking about name a SoundCloud rapper here? Like, it doesn't matter. No, I don't think so. Some of them are going to make more of a mark than others, and some of them will just fade away. So I saw this interview with Jay-Z where he's like, he talks about not wanting to be a trend. He wants to be Ralph Lauren, and he said this in an interview speaking.
He was rapping in it.
But he was rapping, so like, I was like, you're the greatest of all time. You just dropped the line. Bar. Like, damn, that's better than what I hear most days. But so I'm just like, that's how I approach music, and that's how the people that I like the most. Again, we live. Sometimes you just want to hear some nice tunes and some people saying ad libs, because you're out drinking and whatever, and that's fine. But like the artists that I think are gonna have the sticking power, the artists I respect the most, are all people who you can tell are in it for the music. They want to make money, but that
says nothing about like people like how old you are and how you're making music. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people kind of confuse that for like, oh, like, because you called yourself an old head. So a lot of people will confuse that for being like, well, like, why are you just hating on the kids? The kids just want to have fun and all that stuff. And like I fully am for that. I just like, I think that gets confused easily, but it's there's a lot of like kids like in hip hop that are like really making big differences.
Yeah.
In the sound and like changing the culture and shit. And like those are the ones like you were saying, like someone like Lil Uzi Vert. I don't like love his music beginning to end, but I love a couple of his songs, and I can really appreciate how he's shifted the culture on his own. I think so many rappers have I mean, not like copied Lil Uzi Vert, but we're like very, very inspired by him in the last like 2 years.
And that's a good example. He's
the reason most people are rapping in 2018.
I think he's gonna be one of those generational artists because of the fact that like he reminds me of Kid Cudi, man. Like he just brought a different sound and he's appealing to a certain base that like took to him. Like I'm with you. Like I don't love Lil Uzi, but there are some of his tracks that I love, and I think like what he's doing sonically is pushing boundaries. His lyrics are sometimes whatever, but you can't argue. Like he did that song with Pharrell, I really liked it.
The Neon Guts.
Yeah, he did a song with The Weeknd, and I like The Weeknd on. I'm like, the kid knows his sound, and he knows how to adapt, and he knows how to push the envelope. I have no problem with Lil Uzi, and like that's the difference between that and people who I think like are just doing stuff to get attention.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. So. Tell me about like your inspirations then, because like we've been talking a lot like about like more the current state of hip hop. I mean, and like, even hopping outside of hip hop, like if you want to talk about like artists like in general that inspire you.
Inspire me. Well, I'll start with music just because it's easier, but like not always just hip hop. Like I for people who may not know me, and hopefully the more music I put out, you will all follow me and get to know me. I rap about a lot of like quote unquote real shit. Woke shit is what you kids would call it in 2018. And the reason I do that is because like I grew up listening to people who did that. Like I'm a big fan of Bob Marley, who like his songs are real like groovy and mellow, but you listen to some of them, they're pretty sad. They have some real like meaning behind them. Like I grew up listening to the blues and stuff like Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington, and like there's like a lot of like tragedy and pain and all that kind of music. Like Johnny Cash is. I'm not even huge on country music.
Would you say your music is sad?
Huh?
Would you say your music is sad like that?
I don't think it's sad. I think it's just honest. Like, and that's the thing. I think like sometimes honesty can be sad. I will 100% say that. I don't think I've ever come out and made a song that I've released at least that I'm like, this is super sad. Yeah. But I'm never trying to be like. I think there's a time to be vulnerable and emotional that like, gets people sad. But I also think that like a lot of what I do, I'm just like, I'm going to give you a message, and it might not even sound like I'm giving you the hardest message you've ever heard. Like me and my brother did a Guatemalan Insanity Brothers tape, and we got on the Books of War beat, and my entire verse is just about like politically charged things, and it doesn't sound like it is. I just kind of rap, and I just kind of say stuff, and I structure the bars a certain way, but like I'm pushed to make that kind of music because of the kind of people that I've listened to. And even like my uncle was a revolutionary in the country that we're from originally, and he died fighting for like our people's rights. So like I have that around me and in my DNA, and I've always been like kind of like brought up in that environment to think that stuff's important to talk about, so I talk about it. So even in hip hop, I gravitate towards artists that have more of a real message. Like it's why I like Nas, it's why I like Tupac, it's why I like Kendrick. Like he's like those three are probably three of the most people. Like when I sit down and write a verse, I'm chasing them. Like not trying to chase their sound, not trying to be like them, but I'm like, one day I want to touch somebody the way they touch me, because like the first song that ever got me into hip hop, like I liked music, but I wasn't like crazy about music. But I remember being in my older brother's Sunfire, Pontiac Sunfire, black. I was going to karate class, and Changes came on. And that song is phenomenal. I've never heard a better just one song. I can listen to it today and it still gets me like emotional. And it's like a sad song, but he doesn't sound sad. He's aggressive. He's just like telling you how it's like in the streets and the stuff you have to do to survive. He's never like sad on it, but it's sad.
Well, dude, you know, like I would say the two rappers that like if I listen to them like maybe like one song through maybe two, like they like that can just like get me charged up to be like, yo, I'm ready to start like going. Like Joey Badass and like Biggie. Like the two have such like different flows, but they have such unique like flows that every time I put a song on, I start freestyling right after the song's over to like whatever I can. I'm not saying like I'm rapping like them, but I'm saying like those are like put on a song Survival Tactics, and damn, dude, by the end of that song, like, you feel something. And, like, it whether it makes you want to, like, get off your ass and, like, start rapping or two, or start doing whatever it is that makes you want to do, like you're definitely feeling something from shit like that. And like it's the raw music that like the old head music.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like
that does that a lot, you know.
Yeah, it's like Joey's one of my favorite rappers that come out, and I loved his album last year. Like I love For My People and Temptation, and the song with Schoolboy, Rockabye. Like,
oh fuck you.
Like, and the fact that like the same artist is giving you all those songs, it's like, man, he's really like doing something. Like, and it's funny that you compare him to, like, you mentioned him and Biggie in the same sense, because I kind of see like he's closer to the Biggie style, and like he just like he sounds real smooth when he raps.
Yeah,
he doesn't ever, his voice raises, but he doesn't ever sound too aggressive.
No, that's true.
And Biggie's the same way. And then there's Tupac and like, Kendrick.
They both pop. You know, like,
yeah, they
like
do.
It sticks
they do.
And pops on every line. Like, I don't know. It's just a funk to it.
You can tell that Joey's listened to Biggie.
Oh God,
you can tell that he's listened to Biggie.
Yeah.
Just the same way you can tell that Kendrick listened to Pac.
Yeah,
like
no, for sure.
Because when Kendrick comes with that emotional like anger, like I love that.
And that attitude of like I really don't care like how this is gonna sound. I'm gonna say it. Like,
yeah,
and it fucking always sounds amazing.
It does.
Kendrick, but that attitude, I think,
Kendrick, if you're watching, please, I would love to rap with you just once in my life.
If Kendrick is watching this, then
we'll wear all TDE gear.
Yeah,
we'll do a part two. Part two.
Come on the show, K Dot. You know, fun story. I don't know if I can get the video. If I can, I'll put it in right after this. But I was at his pop-up shop in Toronto, and he walked by. He walked right past me, and for some reason, everyone was like stunned and like not saying a word. So as soon as he comes past me, you just like in the video, you hear me just go, "Hey yo, K Dot, K Dot!" And he just walks away. But it was probably one of the greatest moments of my life because I know he heard me.
Bro, because we went to the concert that day. Me, you, Aaron, and Haley were all at that concert, and like Kendrick Lamar gave me my best concert of life because he upgraded my seats like partway through the show. We were
personally, he walked into.
He literally stopped the show.
Said, "Hey."
But I ended up right by like the stage and the lower bowl and shit. I was like, this is dope.
No,
Kendrick was the man.
That was
a phenomenal concert. Oh. And that's what I mean. He's a good example of somebody that like he's making money. Like Kendrick's got the bag, man. His Nike Cortez are dropping today. Again, Kendrick, you want to send a brother a pair at Rey Chavo on Twitter. 18 cents. No. But he's got the money, and like, but you can tell he cares about his art, and like even the samples and influences he's pulling from, like. I love artists that bring back old music through samples. Like Kanye West will always be like a goat for me because like you hear some of his stuff, you're like,
dude. In my opinion, not enough rappers are pulling from like the 50s and 60s.
No,
like you had like when Kanye made Otis and shit like that. But like I don't think enough of them are. No, like it's a really good era.
It's a super good.
And you know
what?
A lot of really important black artists in the 1950s and 60s, like shaping like how jazz music and rock music was sounding.
Yeah.
So like that would be a real dope homage to the
if there are any producers out there, take his advice because I 100% agree with that. Like that's a whole era of music that we're sometimes not pulling enough from. We're pulling a lot from like the 70s and the 80s.
Hip hop's super inspired by the 70s and 80s with like I think Donald Glover really inspired that with like the funkadelic shit on his new album.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of artists are being put on to that like oh shit like 70s way.
Yeah.
Like and
synth sound or that funky bass line. Yeah.
Yeah, which it still has a deep root, and I think it's starting to kind of. It's funny. We go back in time. We look at this type of music, and then we start catching up to ourselves again, and then we do.
Yeah.
Like we're starting to get back into like '90s R&B sounds, and
Yeah.
like people are liking that shit again.
And it's interesting, man. Like even one of the biggest songs of last year was a reggaeton song by Daddy Yankee and Luis Fonsi, which is Despacito. Justin Bieber got on.
Yeah.
And that sound seems like I'm happy. I'm Spanish, so like reggaeton is a part of how I grew up, and like that bachata music and all that stuff. Like you're seeing a lot of different things coming up. I mean, I don't know how much people keep up with hip hop news. Drake was seen with an artist who does reggaeton music, and they were chilling. So that's probably the new wave that Drake is gonna push.
Yeah.
And we're all gonna follow along and be like, man there's dance hall Drake.
He's a goddamn genius.
He's a goddamn genius. So but I think like. Hip hop is in a unique place musically where it can really just pick and choose what to take.
They say I'm gonna probably fuck up the quote, but they say bad artists steal, good artists like they take or something
Yeah.
and change it.
Yeah.
But basically like I think hip hop is like a really good example of like artists who they like sampling is a big thing in hip hop, but like artists who take influence and inspiration on like the conceptual level, whether it be what they're talking about, what they're saying, or even on the sonic like musical level, they're taking inspiration from a different generation.
Yeah.
And you don't look at music and any other genre reflecting on a different era of itself other than like pop music, but then you just have Katy Perry ripping off like an 80s song, like an actual 80s song.
It's a lot different. It's kind of like when Ed Sheeran made the Shape of You, and the chords are the same as like Waterfalls, and that was like discovered, and then you had to put them as writers in the. It's different in hip hop because like there is like it's a sampling thing, and like you can really
it's really transparent.
And
it's an open door. It's saying like like this is obviously a sample from a song. Now like
watch how I flip it. Like even Joey Badass did that with a Prince song.
Yeah, he just what's that? When Thugs Cry.
Yeah, and they mashed it up with a Prince song and stuff, and it's just like that's so unique to hip hop, and that's why I like to see in hip hop. And even like Genius is a big reason why people are caring about bars now, and like you'll hear artists just flip like old lines that were said, and people are like, "That's a dope line," and it's like, yeah, but it's also like an homage to this other line that you didn't even maybe know.
Yeah.
So it's weird that hip hop is one of the few art forms that can like look back on itself. But I agree with what you said, like. A great artist take and they make things better. Like Steve Jobs wasn't the smartest technological person you ever meet. Rest in peace. No shame on his name. He built an empire. But
Steve Jobs is dead. Walt Disney is dead.
The point being that he took from where he needed to and made this shit happen. Like, he had the idea for the iPhone in, like, the 80s. He would tell people, like, this is what...
Really?
Yeah, he had the idea. The technology just wasn't there. But, like...
The Simpsons had the idea in the 80s, too.
Yeah, well, The Simpsons...
There's a whole other... I watched the whole podcast.
Everything.
I watched the whole podcast on how, they're confirmed time travelers. Because, there's been, 100, different instances of, just...
Well, they predicted a Trump presidency. They predicted a Trump presidency. Thanks. You didn't warn us? I guess you did.
No, it's insane.
That's pretty funny.
But before we go too off topic, I want to get you to spit some bars while you're here with us.
Yes.
See if this will...
I feel like this is a requirement for anybody that raps on a radio show.
Throw up some Shade 45 stickers behind me.
No, what I was going to say is, look, I have nothing written. I'm not reading off my phone. We didn't practice. This is, fresh off the top, so judge me as harshly as you want. It's going to be something. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's going to be something.
All right. Yeah, no, I don't.
Who are the sponsors? Sony?
Yeah, Sony.
Sony cut the check.
They're not paying us. So I'm gonna blank that out, actually. All right, man. Yeah, no, whenever you're ready to go. Man,
yeah, I'm good. Oh, you're going to play the track over the video.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Oh man, this is. I know I said I'd be down for whatever. This beat's gonna be interesting.
You can tell me if you want me to change it.
No, it's cool. It's cool. You got it. We talked about him. We gotta live it up. We gotta do it. Okay. All right. I'm gonna. You just gotta find it. Okay. Yeah. It was all a dream. I used to read Slam magazine. Always looking at my heroes on the movie screen. I'ma find my own flow though, I gotta go though. Ain't nobody else gonna make me blow, so I gotta step to the mic and spit that fire. Yeah man, I'm giving everything that they desire. I don't sleep until I get the rhyme tight. That's why I write all my rhymes by the moonlight. Shout out to all my brothers in the struggle. Yeah man, we gotta huddle. Gotta get the plan to beat the man, cause goddamn man, I don't understand. These cops is killing kids with toy guns in hands. Man, it's a shame. Brenda still got a baby, and the world just keeps on going crazy. We saw a black president cause it was heaven sent. Too bad black lives are still irrelevant. Not my opinion, but you look out of the windows and everybody's a minion. Yeah, dissenting opinions get snuffed. God damn it, it ain't so rough. So we gotta stay tough. Yeah, cause you are good enough. I'm saying you got a light inside you. Shine bright so that the world can find you. Yeah, man, don't let them nickel and dime you. Nah, man, just let them find you. You got a presence, soul is of the essence. Time is of the essence, so come and get the message. Yeah, I'm spitting all this knowledge. The brown kid who dropped out of college. I'm going back though, mama, don't worry, get that diploma. Yeah, man, they gon' hate on me no more, huh? Yeah, I'm not a SoundCloud rapper, I'm just a kid on SoundCloud that's a dope rapper. Yeah, don't try to label me, cause everybody out here, man, they just a fable. See, they telling you stories and tales. Me, man, I'm just a thing that'll never fail. I'm not a Titanic, I ain't too big to sink, but I'm really good at floating. Yeah, man, this is just me hoping. I'm Steph Curry with the shot, man, I'm open. Even when I'm guarded, they can't touch me. God damn it, man, everybody try to rush me, bust me, trust me, though, they can't touch me. Ha, shout out to MC Hammer, I've been going hammer, and I ain't even from Hamilton. Shout out to everybody in the trap just gambling. But don't gamble with your life, player. Go to school, man, just to get the lifesaver. And I mean the candy and the knowledge, cause see, they don't want you to be educated, but goddamn, man, that's your best defense. So go on offense and get defense. And by the fence, I mean the goal that's in your reach. See, I'm just planning to teach. Some of these bars don't make sense, but just follow me while I speak, and know that I'm unique and that I don't do this in secret. I put myself out on the line, cause goddamn, man, I wrote this about 1,000 times. I wrote this about 1,000 times and spit it about 1,000 times in my mind about 1,000 times. So one day when I'm on sway, I can sway his opinion, and he'll go be like, oh man, Rey Chavo just burned down the building. Yeah, boy, that's the goal. So who gonna do it for me? Nobody, I gotta do it for myself. I'm in the gym, hustling for the wealth. Battling myself. Yeah, only competition's in the mirror. I can see the vision clearer, the end is nearer. When I get on the mic, boy, they gotta see her. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, that was good, man.
It was
That was good. Oh, you had some nice parts there. That's good.
No, but that's what I mean, man. Hip hop's fun.
No, yeah, I fuck with that. You made me want to start going in there, but no, I'm not gonna embarrass myself, man. Thanks a lot for coming out here.
No,
man.
thank you for having me, man. Like,
Yeah.
this is an important thing to do, like, and an important platform for you to have, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Like,
Thanks for
and for anybody out there, like, who is an artist of any sort, who wants to do anything visually in terms of like with a camera or whatever, hit up this man, because like I will say, like, my experience with making the video with you was great because you bring your own artistic vision and you also like help me get my vision. And I'm somebody who's like not into film in that sense. I like film and I've watched it and I can talk about some of it, but I'm not good at like, oh, I want this shot or whatever. But you were good at like, what are you looking for? What kind of things are you trying to pull from? And you made that process not just easy and enjoyable, but like it turned out really good.
Yeah.
Check out the minimum on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll throw
it's
that
the
in
pinned
the
tweet on my Twitter. And yeah, follow me on Twitter.
Which will be in the description, all your
Yeah.
social medias. Rey Chavo, thanks so much, man, for coming out.
Yeah,
I
man,
really
thank you for
appreciate
having
man.
me. I'm happy to be here, and I hope to get another chance, you know. Also, this is a quick thing. I have a show in Toronto, actually, at the Mod Club, February 23rd. Me and a group that I am starting is going to perform there, and tickets are going to be on sale, like, really soon. So I'm going to put that out on my social media. So follow me there.
Yeah.
Come see the show. It's not just me. A lot of other artists. It's for a festival called the Raw Festival. There's a lot of visual artists, other musical acts. It's going to be cool.
I might show up then.
You should.
Yeah,
It's going to be really cool because they got like
Sweet.
a bunch of stuff, like paintings and like jewelry. It's really cool.
All right,
Yeah,
man,
it's a
thanks so
pleasure,
much.
man. No problem.
Awesome.
Thank
Good
you.
one. All right, we'll see you on the next episode of the Reach Podcast. Thanks
Peace.
for checking in.
You better reach.